Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final faguettes, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
Ian, everybody has been talking about Drag Me to Hell. Is this because of Multiverse of Madness, do you think?
I think, right?
It has to
I feel
be
like,
because it's like a Raimi thing.
and rewatching it, I could see because right, I feel like his other stuff, well, that's not true. I was gonna say this is like a bigger budget, like campy horror, and it feels like I could see how people could, like relate that to Multiverse of Madness, right? Because it's, I would assume his biggest budget movie, probably Multiverse. You had seen this movie before, though, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This was I remember seeing this in the theater. I had to sneak to see it, I think, because I think it came out. I don't think I was allowed to see it when it came out, but it was like super exciting. I loved it, and then when I met my husband, I made sure that this was one of the movies that I showed him, and I don't remember if he liked it or not. I don't think he did. I think the ending got him. I could
see him not liking this. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he did. I think he might have made fun of it throughout the whole thing. But yeah, so if you haven't caught on yet, we're covering Drag Me to Hell today because we're gonna bandwagon hop. Yeah. I don't know. On your rewatch, what did you think?
I didn't like it as much as I remembered liking it. But I still enjoy it. And I don't know, I was wondering if you would agree with this. Like, it borders on a cartoon at some points.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
I think there's even one whole scene where it's very Looney Tunesy. You know what I'm talking about with the ice skate and the like big weight that drops.
I put that. Wait. I love when we actually agree because I want to read you literally what my note says for that. God, where is it? I literally put, also this old lady literally having an anvil fall on her head feels like a fucking Looney Tunes gag.
I was almost surprised it wasn't a piano, to be honest. They could have interswitched it, but I really liked it still. I think it still held up for me because I remember how goofy it was. But going into it, I remembered exactly how goofy it was going to be. Whenever I think of this movie, even before this rewatch, I always think of all of Christine's lines because she's so aggressive and like, so I beat you, bitch, you old bitch, or like, I'm gonna get some. Like, it's wild how they wrote her. But so this movie, a couple fun facts, I guess. It was offered to Edgar Wright before Sam Raimi decided to direct it.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then Elliot Page was supposed to star as Christine before
I remember that because I remember like I wanted Elliot Page to be, because he was already like a name by then, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah. What year was this? Had to have been because I
feel like maybe they were in X-Men: The Last Stand, and then I was like, ooh, I want the person who played Kitty Pryde to be in this horror movie, and being like bummed that he wasn't.
I think this was 2009, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, my phone's so slow right now.
Okay, so it definitely was at least after X-Men: Last Stand.
It was, yeah, 2009, and I'm pretty sure that Juno came out 2007 because I think it was the same year-ish that Jamie Lynn Spears was pregnant. Yeah, so it's all connected for me.
I like that.
I have to have my little pop culture references to help me keep track of a timeline. I could have seen that. That looks like a role that would have been in Elliot's wheelhouse after, on his filmography and Wikipedia. But I am in love with Alison Lohman. I do forget her name all the time, but my favorite book of all time is White Oleander, and there was a movie version of White Oleander that she starred in, and so like she has a deep-rooted place in my heart. I absolutely love her.
I do think she's good. I like, I think you and I discussed this before. I like a thick eyebrow, and I like it on a lady when it's like, My first high school girlfriend had like jet black eyebrows that were thicker and bleach blonde hair. And so like, I always like that look.
Yeah.
It's like a little severe, but I mean that in a good way. Like I like it. It like stands out, I think. And I think, it's not like, this isn't like a fucking Oscar winning film. It's just like a campy horror movie. So like, she's allowed to like sometimes ham it up, but I think she does a good job of like grounding the tension in like those moments when you need to have the tension without it being like, her reactions are like grounding you, even though the things going on around her are a little cartoony. It's like she makes it not full on cartoon.
I wish she was doing more work because I was looking at this because this was a pretty big movie. Just like she must have had work before this that kind of maybe led to her getting cast in this, but I don't recognize anything. I guess Gamer. There was Gamer. I don't remember that. I guess it's a Gerard Butler film. Things We Lost in the Fire. I remember that. Beowulf. I remember that. Flicka. I guess she was in Flicka.
Was she the main girl with the horse in that, I guess?
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't watch Flicka. I'm not a very good Alison Lohman fan, but I do love her. I do love her. So this movie, the way it opens, is like very eerie. Like I forgot how scary this opening is. It's pretty terrifying.
It almost like tells you a different movie. Like it like doesn't quite set the tone because it is creepy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we opened in this opening and there's a little Mexican boy being clearly afflicted by some sort of demonic presence or something. It's very Exorcist-like. And his parents are rushing him into, what is her name again? It's San... Oh, goodness, I have it written down here somewhere. San something.
You know I'm always terrible with the name. You're always better with
I wrote it down because I knew I was never going to remember that name. It is Sandina. So Sandina, it's this witchy woman, this bruja, whatever. And there's this demon attached to this little boy, and it comes and it takes him and it drags him to hell. Basically, that's the whole scene. It's very bleak, very dark. The floor literally opens up.
Like he gets thrown off a balcony first, and it's like, oh, that child's dead. Like I completely forgot about this opening, and it's like, oh, that child's dead. Oh, he's not dead, but he's gonna get dragged to hell. So
it's crazy. It's wild. Like he does it. Like they take him upstairs. He's like, I don't know. There's Sam Raimi loves. You can always tell it's a Sam Raimi movie if there's the entire room is rigged and there's like a very specific wide shot and everything is moving in the room, right? And so Sam Raimi loves a shot like that. Mm-hmm. It's very Evil Dead. And yeah, this demonic presence comes in this room, takes this little boy, and like flips them over a banister, and like it's like these are tall ceilings. This is a mansion, so he falls, and he like is like a very like Family Guy laying on the floor.
Yeah. It's like bones look like their every bone is like cracked or broken. The way he's like, Murr. And then he gets up, but then the floor opens.
It's scary. The floor like cracks and you see hell underneath, and these hands just all come and grab him and take him down as Sandina's just watching him with like a horrified look on her face. She's still going to charge 10. She says, Lamia, we will meet again. But she's still going to charge $10,000 to meet Lamia again, right? She's not going to pass up the coin. No, not at all.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah, I don't care if you're being haunted. I don't care if this is good versus evil. I'm still going to charge. But then we get Christine. And so Christine is our main character, main heroine, and she's working at a bank as a loan officer. And yeah, she's really wanting this promotion. She has pressure on her from a lot of different standpoints. I really like Christine in this way. There's a couple things that I'm curious how you kind of took it. So like there's one, she's got pressure on her to get this job. Her boyfriend's family, they're like well-to-do. They've got a lot of money, and she overhears a conversation with her boyfriend and her and the parents talking about how, you know, they want him to be with like a successful girl and stuff like that. So she thinks if she gets this promotion also, it's going to add to her success. She's also got like, throughout this entire movie, she's got an unhealthy relationship with food and her body, that as well as like family life. She was a farm girl. She came from the farm. So she's got a lot that she's kind of always like, that's always stirring in her head. And even though we like kind of meet her while she's being thrown into this movie, like we don't really get a whole lot of setup or anything like that. I feel like these are things that were already stirring in her head, and I really like that. I really like going into this, seeing her unhealthy relationship with food, and knowing that was something that was present before. What did you think? Because a lot of some of the horror also revolves around this relationship with food, and they play with that. And some people could see it as like a little bit distasteful, but I'm curious what you thought about that.
I mean, I guess I honestly, now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh, right. That's why so many things are like going in our mouth and whatever. Until you just said that right now, I hadn't even thought about it, honestly. I mean, like, it is a weird, like when she looks at the, like old photo and like, there's like that really crappy done like fat suit that's like just here. I don't know. I kind of felt like, why are we like, this is so cartoony. We don't need like a backstory of like, ooh, like she has like, I felt like we didn't really need it.
I was like on the fence about it. So like I have had many problems with food and with my eating, and I'm like horrible with binge eating. I will like binge eat to no end. And I've always like struggled with that. And so when I was watching it this time, I was watching it with more of an eye like that. And I actually really liked it. I really enjoyed that, like, they gave her problems that, even though they did seem a little bit cartoony at times, the way they kind of like brought in the horror elements to it. That's what we like horror for, you know, the horror that kind of taps into something you can relate to. And so the food thing, I actually like. I think that might have been my favorite thing in this. Thought it was a little weird sometimes, like when we'd cut to her and it was. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a comedic her, like with a tub of ice cream, you know, just shoveling it into her mouth. So it's like got weird and shaky at sometimes, but I thought they did a good job overall. So it is, what is her name? Sylvia Ganush. She's supposed to be a gypsy, right?
So wait, I meant to tell you this at the start of the episode. That's considered a slur, and I know the internet gets very touchy about that. Yes.
What are we supposed to say? Which? Do you want to say which?
Literally in my notes, I made sure I put like elderly Eastern European woman is just all I say all the time, because the only reason I do know that is because I remember Anthony correcting me when we talked about Miss Calendar on Buffy, and people like who would reply would say gypsy, but put a little asterisk over the first Y.
Okay.
Like, they didn't want to say the full word.
I'm going to say witch though. I think witch is okay. Because she's a witch, she casts a curse and all of that. Yeah. I think it might be good to leave that part of the conversation in there because it's a little explainer for people.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Do that. Yeah. So Sylvia Ganesh is this witch who comes into the office and she is like very close to losing her house because I guess she hasn't been making payments. And again, Christine is like, it's got all this pressure on her to get this manager position at the bank, and her boss is like, you got to make the tough call, you know. She knows that she needs to take this house in order to get this position, right? Like that's the step to get to the position in her mind. So she refuses Sylvia the loan, and Sylvia like immediately, the way they portray Sylvia too is like so gross. They do all of these close-ups with all of this like gross body horror of her like drooling or like taking her teeth out, and like she's constantly without her teeth,
hacking,
like all over like Christine's mouth at like certain points. It's like disgusting. I don't know. I don't like stuff like that. I think that's disgusting. I don't like watching things like that.
That's funny. I felt like, because I was like, oh, like this is like really this is when it's like super like horror gross.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that would work for you or not. Because I feel like gore doesn't bother you as much. Like I feel like I maybe get cringier about gore than you do. Yeah, it's like a different kind of gross, right? I don't even know if we can call it body horror. Can we call it body horror? Because it's
like fluids and stuff. I don't like stuff like that, and I don't think like poop is funny. I don't like this is just not in my alley. Okay, I don't.
Zach is my only friend I don't talk to about pooping.
Troy and Ian talked about poop the whole time we were in Dallas, and I was sickened. She denies Sylvia the extension on credit, and so Sylvia puts a curse on her.
I kept thinking, like, this reminds me of working retail, because, like, when a customer yells at me for something that it's like, man, I work behind the register. I don't make any fucking rule here. Like, there's nothing I can do about this shit. That's what I was like, put a curse on the boss. Put a curse on, like, the government for, like, you losing your house. Not this, like, fucking, like, minimum wage worker who's, like, wants a promotion.
Mm-hmm. It's, like, a weird something, because at one point, you know, you think, well, she has the power to grant the loan, right? She could do it. But, like, what does it cost her as well, you know? Yeah. And also, like, she's not making her payments. I get it. It's shitty. It's a shitty country that we live in, you know? Yeah. Like, I understand.
That's why I said, like, do it to the government. Like, put the curse on them.
Yeah, but go to the president. Go to the president. Do something like that. Or the manager of the bank, you know? Even somebody like that. Yeah. She, like, attacks her, the security removes her, and then later she, you know, the boss also, like, has Christine take work home for, like, no extra money. She's like, why don't you finish this work, and we can present it to X, Y,
and like,
Z.
makes her get lunch for him and the other dude that's, like, the new guy.
This other dude, I forgot, I have his name written down, but I'm not even going to look for it. He was in Prison Break and drove me absolutely fucking insane, and so anytime I see his face, I just want to smack it. It's just, he always just sends me into the most annoyed state of mind. But like, so later that night, Christine goes into the parking garage, and Sylvia Ganesh has been hiding in this parking garage, and she attacks Sylvia, she attacks Christine, and this whole thing is just so wild. This Sylvia's like in the back of the car, and that's really creepy at first, when the handkerchief goes around the car.
Yeah.
Because I forgot about that, and then when it did focus in on her, I was like, oh fuck, yeah, she was back there the whole time.
Nana's back in that back seat.
And then there's this whole like car fight where she's in the back seat, Christine's in the front seat, and they're like getting at each. I don't know. I thought that was really like, I thought it was good. It was like a really good choreographed moment.
It like it's ridiculous, but I do think it's good.
Yeah.
And I put in my notes, this is exactly what you and I wanted from Brittany Snow and the old lady in X.
Yes. It is wild too, isn't it? It is ridiculous. I think this whole movie plays into ridiculousness. Is like the entire like fight is she like gets a stapler and like staples the woman's face.
Because like that old lady would have been knocked out. She's an old lady. Like,
I know, but she keeps coming at her. She's like almost like rabid is the way that they portray her, right? Christine like crashes her car into another car, and Sylvia's not buckled, so she like goes flying, and her teeth like fall out. They do all of her teeth stuff. Her teeth are always flying out of her mouth.
Always.
She like uses her gums to like gnaw on Christine's chin, and again, that didn't work for me.
Do you know what grosses me out more about that? And I you might agree with this. The thing that grosses me out more about those kind of things, I'm like, ew, some of it went in her mouth. Like when she's biting her, I'm like, oh, some of that drool went in Christine.
That's not even the part that I was like freaked out about. It's like the full on like vomiting at the funeral scene. Like that was like, like what was
that?
That
just looks like like what the fuck is that green
That's
shit?
Gross, man. Yeah, this whole thing is so wild. And like at one point, Christine manages to get Sylvia out of the car, and she's like, what was the line? It was I beat
like,
you, y'all bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, so either Sam Raimi is making Alison Lohman like say the lines this way, or she's just deciding to get real street with it every time she like says a zinger like that. It's a choice.
A thing that did make me really laugh when I was watching it was so when she kicks her out of the car and she's like, I got you old bitch. And then she disappears, and then she comes back with like the concrete block. So the old lady gets the concrete block, smashes the window, and then just opens the door. She doesn't unlock it. Like, they just like forego. She like smashes it and then opens the door.
Man. They just forgot.
Like, wait, the whole point was.
No, it's just a witch curse thing. She can just do it. Yeah. Okay. She pulls Christine out and she takes one of the buttons. And I guess like, at first I was like, why does Christine take the button? Just like, don't take the button. Don't accept it. Don't accept it. But I guess she's like dazed. For some reason, I don't understand why she's dazed, though. It doesn't make any sense to me. But Sylvia curses the button. You know? She curses the button. Those camera tricks were like dazed, like she had a spell on her or something. But now she has this button that she's cursed with, and now she has like the Lamia following her. So I thought the Lamia was probably something from real mythology somewhere, right? So I looked it up, and it's in Greek mythology, but it's a half serpent woman who like a sea monster kind of, who like eats children. So like nothing like this. I think in this one it's like what is it, the word hooven a hooven foot
cloven
foot hooven. I don't know, the little like a goat, like something like that.
It looks like the devil.
Yeah, so I don't think this Lamia was like based on anything like that. It seems like the Lamia was more based on Krampus.
So then we get like she goes to the fortune teller, right? She's on like a date with her boyfriend. She goes to the fortune. She's like, I want to get my fortune read. And like the boyfriend is immediately. Also, I think Justin Long is so handsome. I think
he's very handsome in this one, isn't he? And I'm not like a big Justin Long like guy.
Oh, I am, especially during this like time.
Did you ever watch him in Crossroads when him and Lucy are gonna have sex and he gets like all naked?
Oh, is he in Crossroads?
He's like naked, yeah.
Huh. I think I saw that because he wasn't famous when that came out, right?
I don't know, but his like pale white titties are very nicely shapen and like out on display for everybody. So you might check that out like, again.
Dorky dude, like he seems like he would be like.
Yeah, I remember him mostly from Jeepers Creepers. I think I thought he was really cute in that one because he had like that belly button tattoo, and I was like. Ooh.
And I thought he had a good scream. He had like a good like.
I don't remember his scream. I don't remember it. Yeah, I might have to check that out again. Yeah, but they go to the fortune teller. I love that like this is just Christine. So like the way Christine, this is one of the things I like really appreciate about this character is that she's kind of the same before she's cursed and after. Like the way she acts when she's cursed, I feel like she already acts like that anyway. I feel like she has a short fuse. She's always like ready to like argue with somebody. She's always yelling at people, and I think she does that anyway. You know, I don't think this is anything new. And she probably goes to the fortune tellers pretty often, so this is not anything that she has to be convinced of. She goes to the fortune teller, and he pretty much tells her, "Yeah, you have a demon on you." She's like, "I believe it." She's like, "I know, I believe it." And then like the hauntings start pretty soon, right? Like. And these
the next day,
they're almost like delusions, but like it's happening to her, you know. And these hauntings are violent. Like every single time they're violent, they're loud. They like completely detach her from everything else that's going on, so she can't even pretend to ignore it. I think in the first time it attacks her at her house, I think it slams her into her countertop pretty hard, like on the head. I was like, oh fuck, you know, how do you live a normal life with this? You don't.
Right. And then like later on, it like smashes, not in the first one, but like later on, it smashes her into like her like wardrobe and it breaks. I'm like, girlfriend would be knocked out. Like,
yeah, they're all like insane. They're all insane. There's one point where again, this is kind of going back to the Looney Tunes one. There's one point where she's in the shed. She's having to like gather a bunch of things, and Sylvia Ganush comes out from behind a curtain, and it's not really her, but it's like a manifestation.
Why would there be an anvil in her shed tied up to like why
again it's Christine and we don't get it. This is just kind of her as she does this.
Yeah.
She does kill her cat at one point to like sacrifice it and hopefully break this curse that's on her, but like I feel like that might have been like the fourth cat she's murdered at some point. Like I get those vibes from her.
The thing I do like is like this first scene, and like I think all of the attacks at her house happen during the day.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this before. Like, I appreciate when you can do like a daytime horror and still, like, granted, this movie isn't like scary, but there was a couple times when I like maybe like jumped, like I got surprised. And like I do remember the first time I saw this, just like I knew how it ends. You know, the tension kind of like dissipates since you've seen it a bunch of times. But I do remember being like, even though I thought when I was watching it that it was cartoony, that it was still like good at building the tension of like when she's looking at the steps and you only can see like a little bit of the top of the steps and like shit like that, like did a good job of like building the tension.
Yeah, I think there's two different kinds of ways to do like a demon movie, right? You got like The Exorcist, which is like really serious and does get into your psyche, and it is like genuinely scary, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this, which is more of like an amusement park ride, which is, and you just get on it and you kind of go, and it's not really going to stick with you. It's a fun one and you'll remember it, but it's not going to like get deep into your psyche. And I do think this was a really fun one. So she's like, we're just watching her get haunted for like a good chunk of the movie. But so you said during our Multiverse of Madness recording that Sam Raimi doesn't really know how to do women. What did you think of this? Did you think she had agency in this one?
I think so that's why I think it's weird they added in the eating thing, because I think she's mostly a flat character, but like, that's fine. I don't care, like, for this type of movie, like, that's fine. She doesn't really have, like you said, like certain moments, suddenly she gets all like, "Ooh, I got you, you bitch." And it's like, well, it doesn't even like, sure. And yeah, I don't think, you know, I go back to Evil Dead, which I do like. And I love the remake more because like in the original, it's like all the women are raped and dead. And like, I don't love that. And this, like, there's just so much of things going down her throat and her pulling them back up that I'm like, all right.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And then, I don't know, it's almost written like, I don't know, like this is Sam Raimi's version of a girl, right? Like she would have, even though I appreciate the eating disorder, like kind of through line, it seems more like he was like, what do girls go through? Eating disorders. So like he puts in an eating disorder, or like, you know, what do they wear all the time? Sundresses. Put her in a sundress every scene, right?
Yeah.
Like she's very written, definitely written by a man, but I also enjoy like how crazy she already is, like pre-curse.
Well, again, because like for the purposes of this movie, it's fine. Like it works and it's fine, right? Like that's kind of how I feel about it.
I like that Christine just like, it seems like she already accepts that she's haunted. Like as soon as the fortune teller tells her that, she accepts it, but she thinks maybe she could just learn to live with it and like ignore it. And then when she can realize that she can't ignore it anymore, then she like seeks out help. She tries to get help for it. But she was like fully ready to just like live with it and maybe occasionally get smacked into the countertop or something.
I almost feel like if we were haunted, you would maybe deal with it like that, and I would be the one that's like nonstop, won't shut the fuck up about it, and everyone's like, "Well, Ian's gone nuts." Like,
well, see, it's weird. I don't know. It's a lot. I feel like I could try to ignore it, but this, I would go seek help depending on how much it was. Like $10,000, I'd be like, $10,000 for my life. That seems a little steep. I don't know if I could do that. But meanwhile, I'm like buying stupid Barbie dolls back there. You know, the things I spend money on.
Listen, I thought the same when he said $10,000. I said my will to live is not that strong.
I know. I don't think
like,
it's there. I'm like, I'm like, long do I have though? Like, can
Right.
you tell me
Like,
that? I don't know.
I'm like, yeah, it's like, how long? Great. I'll buy some more things that I like and then willfully go to hell.
I don't know. She does go to try to take this, to lift the curse. She goes to Sylvia Ganesh's house and tries to beg for forgiveness. Is that her granddaughter that's there that answers the door? Yeah.
Who says you used to be a real fat girl, didn't you?
I do wish we had more of the granddaughter in there. Like, I feel like she lives a pretty cool life. And then yeah, she goes inside and it's revealed to Sylvia Ganesh like died like a week after she put that curse on her. She used all of her last bit of might to put this curse on a button. That is holding a grudge. That's an Eastern Euro mindset right there.
Some Hispanic shit too, because like that's the way people, right?
Yeah, and then there's more body horror here. More like I don't know. Christine's just falling all over the place in this movie.
Right, I'm
like trying to think of like what led up to her falling on top of this body. And I think she just falls on her and like stays on her like long enough for like the whole thing to break.
It's like she gets confused, turns around, and suddenly like falls into the coffin, face to face. The old lady, it collapses. The body falls on her, and that's the grossest.
It's like green juice coming out of this body's mouth,
and it goes in her mouth.
It's disgusting, and she's screaming for a long time, like, "Get her off me! Get her the fuck off me!" And like nobody's doing anything until like the very last moment, and then by the time there's all the juices out of her, they just waited.
She swallowed like a good like.
I've never seen a body that this woman literally had the biggest grudge to hold with Christine, because I've never even seen a dead body who is so bitter towards a person, right? Like this body is like throwing up on her, is like still like gnawing at her chin, is like grabbing her hair and pulling her fucking hair out like a dead body.
And I love when they put it back in the coffin, and I love the close up of the dead body looking right at Christine.
I know, it's just like,
he's like,
bitch,
I got you.
I got you, bitch. Yeah. I got you, you young bitch.
How'd my green juice taste?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Disgusting. So after that, like Christine goes to the
fortune teller.
It might have even been before. I don't know. She goes to Justin Long's parents' house at one point, or she goes to the fortune teller. Yes.
Wait. Yeah. So the thing that I do like is right after that. So they put the corpse back in. The corpse is looking at her, and the granddaughter is just like, ha ha ha, do you still plan on making things better?
You deserve everything that's coming to you.
Yeah. I'm just like, God.
Oh my gosh. Give this woman a break. Like, she doesn't deserve this. I'm sorry. She doesn't. Sylvia, like, where were you, granddaughter? Where were you helping out your grandmother?
Right?
Why'd this fall on Christine?
Who's not a family member.
Christine's already dealing with a bunch of shit anyway, right? Her life is already spiraling before this movie even starts. She does go back to the fortune teller.
So he tells her about animal sacrifices, which leads us to the next scene in her house where it's another daytime haunting. This one's more brutal because it's like runs up the steps. She keeps seeing it in the window. And I do like the shadow scene under the door where it's like we see the hoofs and then it suddenly becomes hands.
Oh, yeah. It's freaky.
And then when she goes to the window, this scene did make me jump just because it like caught me off guard. When she goes to the window to open it and then we fully see the demon like face in the window and she like flies backwards. Then it does some Freddy Krueger shit where it's like spinning around the room.
Floats her all around the room. This is like Exorcist, Freddy Krueger, all of it. This is the Sam Raimi loves to like float bitches around,
But like, right, I feel like if you or I were thrown into a dresser and like hard enough that it collapsed or like broke, I'd probably at least be unconscious, right? Like a regular person.
I mean, maybe either that or like your hip's gonna hurt a little bit. I don't know, something. Depends on where you get hit or something. Should get hit in the head.
Your hip's gonna hurt a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bruise right above your hip. I think the only way for that she thinks she does try a bunch of stuff. Like she even kills her own cat, which was dark. I remembered it coming up and I was like, and then Christine lost me at that point. I'm like, drag the bitch to hell. Do it. The cat also put a curse on Christine as well. And like right after she kills the cat, Justin Long comes to get her to go to his parents' house and so that she can have dinner with them, right? So she's got
blood on her shoulder and she's like, no, I'm good.
I do think like his parents are also bitches because she like shows up with this cake that she made. She even waited for like, what did she say? Goose eggs? because the yolk is denser and it'd make the cake denser. I don't know. She explained it. Some farm girl shit. And the mom's just like, ugh, disgusting. The fucking demon comes to get her at this house too. And it's like, it just doesn't even like attack her in this house. It just like bangs on everything.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, either I would go full on like I have lost it, I don't give a shit, or I'd just be like, oh, that's the demon knocking on the door again.
She said that at the table. You're gonna be looked at as crazy either way, right? Either way you take this. And she fully does look crazy. She does she has a little moment where she kind of like opens up to the table.
Because the mom likes her for a minute. Yeah.
Because she opens up to the table and she says, yeah, my mom was an alcoholic and I don't really have a relationship with her. And I just love that. I love that we're getting a lot of like really deep stuff with Christy.
Well, and I do like that the mean mom then like that makes her courage. She's like, oh, you know, I never had the like courage to say out loud my mom was an alcoholic, and she like respect her, but that lasts about
nothing because then they cut into the cake and the cake is an eyeball, you know, like we have a lot of food horror in this as well, like a lot of like bodily fluid horror, and then we have a lot of food horror that kind of goes into the eating disorder, and it's just like,
and to go back to Multiverse of Madness, Sam Raimi was an eye.
Oh my god, an eye just popping up anywhere, right? This eye was much better than Doctor Strange's eye either. Like, where was the budget for this eye? Somebody pull that back up. I
think this might have been a practical effect, and that's why it worked, right? Like, I think they might have like put something on the cake to make it.
He's really good with the practical effect, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he does a lot of practical effects. As I'm watching Christine, like at this dinner table scene, I'm like trying to like pick in my head, like how can I play any of this off? If this is happening to me, how am I playing any of this off? Because the fork fully disappears. Did everybody see the fork disappear? Is my fork just gone? Or is it like sitting on the table and I have to remind myself, it's real, it's here? Like, how is she able to function? And she's not, because it's banging all over the place, and she stands up and screams, "Leave me alone!" And she looks. I mean,
you make a good point at the fork. I'd be like, Zach, do you see the fork? Where the fuck is the fork?
I know. That's why you need a crazy buddy. Justin Long was really good boyfriend to her too. Look, he didn't entirely believe this whole thing, but like he was going along with it anyway. So you should have used him as her like buddy to be like, do you see a fork?
Like, do you see an eyeball?
Do you see like what does this piece of cake look like? And then there's like flies in the cake and all of that. I don't know. It's disgusting.
Oh, right, because then she coughs and the fly comes out. I'm like, ugh.
Do they all see like flies in the cake? Because they do a close up on the cake at one point, but are there flies in it?
Right. That's what I was wondering, because they like, and they all kind of pause, like they're like, what the fuck? But I don't know if it's what the fuck because of how she's being or because they see the flies.
I don't know, but she does look fully crazy when she starts standing up and screaming. And like, the mother's like, she's not well. Let her go. Yeah. And it's like,
it's like
she doesn't look well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You are a mean mother, but you are also correct that she does not look well.
She does not look well, but she's very pretty in her flower dress, in her sundress. But she definitely needs to get help now. She goes back to the fortune teller again, and he's like, "Yeah, Sandina, $10,000," and she's like, "Done." And
he's like, "Tomorrow."
I know, right? Like, give me a second. There's a fucking lamia, on my back.
There's a demon and I'm not wealthy. So like, can we like give me 3 days?
And I need a contract, because we're going to get into some shit during this thing that really pisses me off. But she goes home and she like gathers every belonging that she has that's of value. Right. And she tries to sell. It's like $3,800. I've also done this. I've also been like a poor college student who needed to sell whatever I needed to sell and gotten like pennies for it, So I got the frustration, but then Justin Long gives her the money.
You know what? I totally missed that beat, because I literally put, wait, where the fuck did she get the rest of the money from? And I literally watched the movie.
I think he gives it to her.
But so she like, as she's collecting is when we have that moment in the shed.
Yeah.
That's so Looney Tunes. And like, she comes out for the thing. She puts her whole like arm down her throat, like up to here, right? I almost
am like, maybe even add a Looney Tune like sound effect. If you're gonna go there, maybe do like a Tweety bird, like something. I don't know. It was fucking wild, man. I don't.
Because when the anvil hits her head and like her eyeballs and
it's horrible CGI. It's horrible. It's very silly. Like drawn, like, and like she gets a whole fist down her. Like she totally gets fisted in the mouth. Like just like
I was thinking like someone's kink is like this thing with like an arm.
How do we describe the like scenes in this movie? I'm having trouble finding the words to like when I say elbow deep in Christine's mouth, I mean it. Like, picture that. Try to picture that.
Like I was thinking of I was like, what are the logistics here? Like,
I know, right?
Where's that hand? Is it like here inside her body? Because like,
I know. Well, I was thinking here, but then I was like, that doesn't make no sense. Maybe it like loses its bone or something. I don't know, but like, it's all hallucinations anyway, because none of this ever fucking happened. It's just fucking wild. And then when Justin Long does show up to give her the rest of the $10,000, that's when she's like eating the tub of ice cream, and she's like, yeah, that's very like girl thing. Like, girls love tubs of ice cream when they're down.
And she says she's lactose intolerant, which I am too, and that means I would not only be terrified but also shitting my pants.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, she definitely shit. There's a scene of her shitting her pants. There has to be, right? If we're gonna go full on with this whole thing, unless Sam Raimi's like, women don't poop though. They don't do that.
No pooping.
No pooping for the women. So she has the $10,000 now, right? And so she goes to Sandina, which is the lady from the beginning of the film who took care of this little Mexican boy and just let him go, right? I hope that family didn't pay $10,000 because I'd want that shit back.
Right.
I'm like, give me the fucking money back, bitch. I want it
back. Like, where is my refund? Because now my child is not only possessed, but dead.
In this big ass mansion, you have the $10,000. Give it to me or I'm going to start stealing some shit. Yeah. I will steal. She shows up. Maybe it's just $10,000 for the white women.
That's fair.
Well, the white woman who works at the bank, she got it with the rich boyfriend. They show up, and this whole like séance thing is like fucking wild. It's just crazy, and so it was very frightening at the beginning, and now we get into like the ridiculousness of the séance and like what Sandina can do, and they bring out a goat, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about the fucking goat too. They bring out a goat.
The moment I saw the goat, I was like, oh, right, it's going to have a face. That's going to be funny.
I think the goal is to get the lamia into the goat and slit its throat.
Kill it.
But then you can't, they explain later, you can't kill the lamia. Like, doesn't he say your lesson here? It's that you can't get rid of the lamia.
It feels like it was a very poorly planned out exorcist, if that's what you're asking. Like, it feels like, especially that guy touching it, it's like, if you know that's what, why are you touching
it? Feels like the rules, like they were kind of trying to figure out rules that like kind of connected, and but like they still didn't make sense while they were connecting them. I don't know, it was weird because I would have burned the house down if he told me your lesson here today is the $10,000 lesson is that you can't get rid of the lamia. I've been like slitting throats, I'd have been burning shit down. Sandina is a dead bitch. Done, killed. I'd have forced her to take my fucking button. They do the whole séance though, and like the lamia like possesses Sandina. It possesses this one. Like, is he a butler or a gardener? What is he? He like works there.
He's just there. I don't know.
They don't really explain it, but there's this guy who just like is around. And he has like a gardener's uniform on, or some sort of uniform is what he has on. I don't know, but they let it like possess him. And also, like, if you're working for Sandina and you get possessed, do you get extra compensation?
Like, got times this month. I got possessed. A bonus.
Like overtime. Like, do you get that? Do you get like holiday pay or something like that, or like, séance pay? I'd be asking those questions. I don't know. I mean, maybe we need to unionize at Sandina's house.
I appreciate all the chaos in this scene, though. I do appreciate that it's like constant chaos, and it goes on for kind of a long time.
Oh, this scene is a long scene.
Because like at first we see the other unsettled, like the woman with the umbrella who looks like she belongs in like 13 Ghosts comes up, and like, but then Sandina banishes all of them, and then the face on the goat gets me every time because it's so ridiculous.
That's crazy. It's wild. And it's like the same face that's like, I don't know. It's just this goat with this like CGI face that's coming after Christina. It's like, you bitch, you dirty slut.
It's just so ridiculous.
And she doesn't slit the throat, does she? She does, but maybe it's gone at some point. I don't know. Does the goat die? I couldn't remember.
I feel like the goat doesn't. I feel like they don't do anything with the goat because the guy goes to like pushes the goat away and then immediately is like bit and possessed, and then the guy's just possessed, and then we don't revisit.
So where's the lamia go? I watched it. I promise you, I did. We like watched it very like right before this recording. Where did the lamia go?
Well, so it's supposed to that's what I'm a little unclear on here. Is like, so then she does the thing and she like gets it out of the dude, but then she's like, I tried, and then collapses dead. Yeah.
$10,000. That's all I'm saying. This is
right. I mean,
this was $10,000.
It's like her dead hand is holding my money, and I'm like, oh, well, you don't need this anymore.
Take it out. You know, we know you got some life insurance or something. But so this seance didn't fucking work. The lesson was that she cannot get rid of the lamia. But like this fucking fortune teller, let's talk about what a shitty guy this fortune teller is. Instead of giving her all the facts up front, he is literally the fortune teller that is telling her, I see this, I see something. $10 more, I'll tell you what I see, and like keeps stretching it out. Because he finally tells her, like, you can re-gift the button. I'm like, really? I can re-gift the button?
Like,
I can re-gift the button? You're going to tell me that now?
I remember when me and my friends watched this together, we were like joking about who we would gift it to.
I'm about to ask you, who are you giving it to? Who are you giving the button to? Do you have anybody in mind? It can be anybody.
Is it like...
It can be anybody.
Oh, then I'm giving it to Donald Trump.
Okay. We can give the button to Donald Trump. I feel like he's got the $10,000 to do a couple seances, He'll be fine. And
then he would learn they didn't work and still get dragged to hell.
I don't know.
Or maybe Mitch McConnell. I don't know.
That's a good one. I don't know. Mitch McConnell, I might have to give the button to Mitch McConnell. Although he looks like the Lamia already, So
he's like,
he looks like he has it in him already.
This button. Yeah.
He's like, this was cursed for me.
I am the curse on this button, so it does nothing.
Melania's already tried to do a curse on Donald Trump. It's already happened. Like, she's already done that. It's just clearly not working. It's not working.
Yeah.
Putin, we can give it to Putin.
Yeah.
He could use a button.
I like in this, now we have multiple buttons. We're like,
I like that we're just staying political. I feel like that's nice. It's okay. We can do that. Politicians deserve a cursed button.
We'd have to promise that even if we are mad at each other, we wouldn't give each other.
I would never give you a cursed button. I would not do that to you. I would not do that to you. I would not do that to anybody who is like down on their luck. Because she's like going through this movie like, and I like her here, right? Because she like... Yeah.
You want her to.
It's so easy to just get rid of the button. Like she even considers giving it to the racer. Wait, she said, honey, just keep the coffee coming, or I'll give you a tip you'll never forget. Like gets real street with it. I'm telling you, she like gets real street at certain points.
Also, if I were that waitress, I would have gotten that button. So I'd have been like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm not giving you any more coffee."
Oh my god, I know. I'd be like, "This, she's not well, sir. She's not well."
She goes to give it to the old man who's like looks like he's dying, but then she sees his like cute wife come and she's like,
yeah. Because I guess it's like I think my first thought would be to give it to somebody who's like nearly near death, but then it takes your soul and you go to hell.
Right.
So it's like like you're not just dying,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if it just killed you, then yeah, maybe I'd be like, well, this person's like days away from death, but like I wouldn't want to curse this like sweet old man and his wife to like eternity in hell or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So she like the guy Stu at her work, who's like after her manager's position, and pretty much snags it. He pretty much like takes her work and like takes it to First National Bank or something like that.
Are you getting Brando?
Yes. She he's like down here's like very starved for attention. Stu shows up and she's like gonna give it to him and he starts crying and I'm like, just do it, give it to him, do it, put it in his hand. It's not gonna matter anyway because this is not it's not a button. Just spoiler alert, this is not the button. So whoever she gives this to, they're gonna be fine. They're okay. So she's like, she goes back to the fortune teller again. The amount of time she goes to this fucking fortune teller.
He is useless.
They had one set, and they're like, we're going to use it. We're going to use this set, okay? We're going to use this set. She goes back, and she says, can I give it to a dead person? Can I give it to Sylvia Ganesh? And he's like, yes. She's like, got it, bitch. We're going. We're going to the cemetery. I loved this whole part, too. I fucking loved it. I loved her on the driving to the cemetery, and she's like, let's go, bitch. I'm going to get some. Like, Christine's got, like, she absolutely gets into fights, like fist fights. She absolutely gets into fist fights. Justin Long's having to like pull her back because somebody took her shot at the bar and she's like beating their ass, She's violent. So she shows up at the cemetery and she digs up Ganesh's grave and she goes down and it like fills with water because it's raining, and like we get like atmosphere here. It's like perfect. It's so good. The body like rises from the coffin.
I kind of love the way she shoves it in the mouth and then kicks the mouth
Like,
shut.
she keeps trying to put it in Sylvia's hand. It's like this is a body with rigor mortis. Okay, like this is it's closed. She's like, "Are you gonna take this thing? Are you gonna take it?" She keeps trying to put it in, so she opens her mouth and she like puts it in and like kicks it shut. And she's like, "Choke on it, bitch."
Which, like, I feel like for a corpse with rigor mortis, it might have like shattered the like.
However she needs to give it to her. So Sylvia Ganesh's got it. And like the grave is filled with water. She's like drowning. The body's coming up again. This body has a grudge. The body comes up and is like following Christine. You know, getting like so close.
The body's me drunk, leaning on you with the bar, like.
If I had seen this as a kid, I think the body stuff would scare me and probably get into my nightmares. Like that body that literally like follows you and gets in your face. I'm always scared anyway of like whenever I watch paranormal stuff, if I'm alone, I'm always scared of being in bed and rolling over and there being a face there. And like that's why I can't watch a lot of true crime before bed. It's because I'm like scared that like a body will be right there. And like the fucking tombstone, this big ass tombstone falls and like hits her on the head. Like,
again, Looney Tunes. It just conks her head.
I like feel awful for her. She deserves a life. She deserves.
That would definitely kill you, though, right?
The sound it made cracked a skull. You know, we see her for
those things are heavy.
We only see her for a little bit after this, and I have a feeling she had some like permanent damage that like we just.
But then it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. We didn't even get to it. So she's given this button to Sylvia Ganesh, and. There's this really corny shot of her getting out of the grave and like doing this sigh of relief with the background and the sunrise in the background, and then it like fades to her in the shower. She's like, "All better, we're good." And Justin Long picks her up, and they're gonna go on like a little trip. You know, they're gonna go on a trip to. In my mind, it's like France, but like they're in the U.S. so whatever. They're going on a train. And she, this was so nice. She deserved this at least, just this. She shows up and she sees this nice blue coat that she just wants to buy. She uses her white girl privilege to open the store early and buys the coat, and she deserves it. She deserves it. And then fucking Justin Long gives her the button back, and it's like, actually, didn't you? This was yours, right? That's your button.
Isn't this your cursed button?
Because I guess earlier they did do this really well. I think this twist was very good, and it was like it happened at the perfect moment, and then like immediately
because you see him like he's a wedding ring, he's gonna propose. I do remember being like gooped when that happened when I first saw it, being like, oh fuck, he's giving her back the button.
Yeah, I thought so they plant it in a really smart scene where she's in the passenger seat and there's papers everywhere and she's looking for her button, and we're like, oh fuck, does she have her button? And she picks up the envelope, but I guess there were two envelopes that looked exactly the same, and she picked up the wrong envelope that had like, I don't know, $5 on it, $5 check or something. So when he pulls it out at the very end, and this is like, mind you, this is a minute before the movie ends, right? It is like so fast paced at this point. When he pulls it out, I thought he was getting pulled into hell the first time I saw it. I was like, oh shit, it got just along. I was like, oh no.
I kind of would have liked that though. That would have been a cool like.
But I guess like he hadn't been gifted it,
right?
So it didn't count that way. But she's like horrified, falls back into the train tracks, and immediately is dragged to hell right before this train like hits her. And like as the train's going over her, this is a really cool shot, and you get like glimpses of her body like literally being taken to hell as Justin Long watches on, and he's like horrified. And then we cut to the end title, "Drag Me to Hell," and she's dragged to hell. It was like a perfectly on point movie. Like they said, we're telling you what the movie is. We go drag to hell.
I think I used that like the poster for like a tweet that I was like, "Oh, this one hurts." This is definitely me, like making fun of someone like with ADD and depression, and I just like quote tweeted it with the poster for "Drag Me to Hell."
We need to do some memes for "Drag Me to Hell." I feel like there's some good ones in there. We need to like screen cap a couple of Christine's line, like I'm gonna get some or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to do a couple of those to promote this, but I do enjoy this movie. I think it's one of those that I kind of put in the same like drawer of horror rewatches as I put Ready or Not, like movies like that. They're like comfort horror movies that I like to just put on sometimes.
I do like Ready or Not. I think is better movie.
Oh, it's absolutely better, but like this is still in there as like one of those I will probably rewatch, every couple years. It's gonna happen.
Well, this is like, I feel like this is also like for people like you or I, or like anyone who's listening that probably can have like a horror movie as background. This is like, I feel like a very good, like,
perfect.
Like for like, you know what I mean? If you're like cleaning your room and you just put it on, or like you're doing some shit, it's like a good background too.
I think that she was really good as like, she almost made it to, she was almost a final girl. She was close. She was so close to being a final girl. She's not though. She's in hell. Which is, if you think about this ending and how fucked up it is, like we talk about bleak endings. Is this a bleak ending that works for you?
And I don't always love I don't really love a bleak ending, but because it's a cartoon, I don't like, it's just like, it almost
I love that you call
like,
it a cartoon.
It's just and I cartoon. Like it. This was my pick. Like I picked this movie. It works because it's just like, it's not like you're like, I don't know. It's not like, of course this is where my brain, it's not like Buffy. If Buffy had died at the end, where like you and I would be very upset. It's like, oh fuck. It just feels like it's like your reaction is more like, oh shit, than like, oh no, this poor girl. Like
when you saw it in the theater, do you remember people saying oh shit or like out loud saying anything?
I did not. I actually watched this in my parents' basement with my friends. I remember we rented it.
Okay. I'm a little bit surprised to hear you say that because Ian is notorious for well, then what was the point? Well, then what was the point? Yeah. Watching something and like it has to lead somewhere, but there really was no point to this movie because you just get dragged to hell. All of her efforts are completely fruitless. Yeah, they don't matter at all. So I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I do think that like I would have become like totally unhinged. Like if I were her, like I would have been like, I just would have like completely snapped. And I would not have been like coherent.
I just like in the mental institution, like the button is cursed.
Yeah.
The button is cursed. The button is cursed. The button is cursed. The button. And they have to like do some sort of therapy thing where they bring in a button to show you and you like are repulsed by a button.
I'm like clawing my skin off. Like, and like my will to live, if it was $10,000 and it's not a sure bet and I'm still getting this like this old lady's arm down my throat, I'd be like, you know what?
You know what? Buy the blue coat. Buy the blue coat. That's the message of the movie is like, buy the things you want now. Okay. Go on the eBay, get it, get the dolls because.
Don't say that to me now, Zachary. I'm trying not to go.
Ian. You could be cursed. I don't know. Did Neve Campbell curse us? She probably did. That's probably that signature back there. That's a curse. She cursed all the facts.
God, always telling me I'm iconic.
What would you rate this movie?
I don't know. I feel like my like blahness kind of like clouded the movie when I was watching it today. And I know I keep saying it's a cartoon, but I do mean that like it's fun. Like I'm like a bordering C plus B, like maybe a B, maybe a C plus. What about you?
That's fair. I would say an A minus. I'm gonna go with A minus. I really enjoyed it. I love Alison Lohman. I think she's great. Justin Long's great. It's like a fun story with good beats, and it's like an amusement park ride, right? And I think it treated itself as an amusement park ride rather than Hereditary. Like
yeah.
So I think
that's what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? Like in Hereditary, you and I, when we watched it, we even talked about like we felt really bad for the kid, and like we feel like it's just like, oh god. Yeah. And this isn't like that's not this.
It's not bad. I don't feel bad for her.
It's like you feel a little bad for her, but it's like
a little bit. But she did kill a cat, so it's like, did you deserve it? Probably.
Her will is just strong.
Who are you guys giving the button to? Let us know down in the comments below. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of our coverage of Drag Me to Hell. I think next week we're doing 2 episodes next week. We're going to talk all about our time at the Neve Campbell Con, meeting Neve Campbell. Meet and greet with Neve Campbell.
And our first meeting?
Yeah, and our first meeting is I saw it just got overshadowed by Neve Campbell. I'm sorry. It just did. I didn't even have a personal conversation with her, and I'm still like, oh. And then later on in the week, on Thursday, we're going to be doing everything we know about Scream 6 so far. And we've got a lot of fun news coming out about that one. A lot of great stuff. So stay tuned, and we will see you next time.
Bye.